It's still pretty freaky to see Younglee's face just fall off. Hi everyone, I'm Nina Kaskar, or Miss Scarlet in the Study, and welcome to another episode of Blinded by Nostalgia. Blinded by Nostalgia is a series on my channel where I take childhood games and movies and entertainment and review them as an adult and as unbiased as I possibly can. Today I'm going to be discussing my absolute favorite childhood computer game, the Pink Panther Passport to Peril. This is the one game from my childhood that I would play over and over again and never get tired of. I knew the entire game dialogue and went around the house singing all the songs regularly. It's been about 4 years since I picked up this game, so I thought it would be the perfect time to try an unbiased run of the game to determine whether I am blinded by nostalgia or if it genuinely is a good game that has stood the test of time. The game starts off with this amazing opening song. It really gets you in the mood to play as secret agent Pink Panther. It's almost comparable to the Spy Fox opening in that it prepares you for this fun, mysterious, hilarious adventure that you're about to go on. So right at the beginning of the game, you, as Pink Panther, meet up with Inspector Clouseau for a debrief of your mission. You are to go to Camp Chilliwawa to protect the incredibly smart children that are working together to bring us world peace. Yes, it has been almost half a decade since I last played this game, and I recited the entire opening dialogue as it was playing. The writing and voice acting in this game is incredible, and the fact that it has stuck in my head for all these years is a real testament to that. And before it starts sounding like my nostalgic bias is creeping in, I want to mention that there were a ton of jokes that I didn't remember because they just flew over my head as a kid. So Pink Panther is magically zapped to Camp Chilliwawa and our adventure begins. I love this part of the game because it gives you all of the exposition you need in a short, concise manner. You are immediately introduced to all the characters and given a little bit of background information about where they come from and a little bit of their personalities. Given the upcoming mystery we're about to solve, this is fantastic at giving you the necessary clues right off the bat. You have a general idea of what a normal day at Camp Chilliwawa looks like before your mystery begins. Everyone from Von Schmarty to the dogs from the Better Camping Bureau and all the children at the camp are so well fleshed out that when the characters start acting strange later on in the game, it's easy to figure out what's going on without the game explicitly handing you answers. So Pink Panther wakes up the next morning to find a robot hand in the supply shed, and then Von Schmarty yells at him to come to Nigel's room urgently because something is wrong. I feel that on a first playthrough it might not be obvious as to what is happening right now, which is awesome because you're given the task of solving a mystery without getting too many clues at first. So Nigel keeps complaining that he wants to go home and he's not spelling words correctly like his usual self, so Von Schmarty sends Pink to England to find something to bring back to make Nigel less homesick. So geared up with our new Pink digital assistant, we board a plane to our first destination of the game. I feel like the England portion of this game reinforces what the game is before we dive deeper into the story. The puzzles aren't too difficult here, and it kind of serves as a tutorial level to get the player used to finding objects to use with characters, to then in turn get new objects to use on other puzzles. The main thing I want to talk about in regards to the London portion of this game is the humor. The jokes are on point here. Remember how I said that there were some adult jokes that went over my head as a kid? Well, here you go.
I need me lucky ball. I'm the team hooker.
Beg pardon? Team what say?
He's the team hooker. I'm the captain. We're training for the World Cup.
I see. It's just you said. And I thought... Forget it. Aren't you Jackson?
Indeed I am, sir. My full name is Michael Cuthbert Jackson. But please, don't ask me to do Billie Jean.
I wouldn't. I'm partial to Beat It myself.
Sorry I'm late. Had a little matter to tend to in the loo. Bubble and squeak gets you every time.
I freaking lost it at the Michael Jackson joke because I swear I have never heard it in this game before. This part of the game proves that the humor and writing is impeccable and it's perfect for literally any age. The next stop on Pink's journey is Egypt. We land in the middle of the desert and talk to Mouth and his camels, and he tells us all about mummies. It's great. Now, once we reach this part of the game, we tend to steer a little bit into each country's stereotypes. While I feel like the characters and accents are a good simplified way for children to understand the differences between countries and cultures, I can see that in today's world some people may find these offensive. This is the first thing I came across in this playthrough that I felt may not be able to hold up today. Like I said, the accents and characters need to look and sound drastically different for children to grasp the difference between, say, Bhutan and India. If this game was made more modern, I think developers would be able to find a more politically correct way to portray all these cultures. When Pink returns to Camp Chiliwawa, Von Schmarty catches him up and tells him that all the children are angry. The game also gives you a good checkpoint here to go over your clues with Von Schmarty and kind of solve the mystery outside of the game. Next thing you know, Young Lee is running around speaking Chinese, and instead of Google translating what he's saying, we hop on the plane to our next destination, China. The Chinese chapter is probably my most favorite of the whole game. It starts off with Pink getting mistaken for an opera singer and performing in front of a crowd. Of all the amazing songs in this game, this one is seriously my favorite. This is then followed by the single greatest moment of this game, where the two dog henchmen and Pink Panther fight each other using kung fu voices.
If I don't get you, Louie will be very sore at me. That means I must get you. Okay? Get me. Now? I am free now. But whatever is good for you. I am free now. Okay, now it is.
Great writing and jokes aside, this portion of the game is actually very educational. I think they packed in a good bit of information about the one-child limit in China, the Chinese values and customs like modesty, and even taught a few Chinese phrases. I will go back to my point that some people might find the accents and caricatured personalities a bit stereotypical, which I can understand may take away from the overall educational aspect. Pink's Chinese trip is interrupted by Indrani calling him to go to India. We shortly find out that the plane we're on was taken over by the two dog henchmen, so we grab a parachute and jump out of the plane, which results in Pink landing in Bhutan. What stands out to me, especially in the Bhutan chapter, are the riddles and puzzles you need to solve to progress forward. You need to be able to listen to various characters and put the puzzle pieces together outside of the game in order to problem solve. This game teaches a lot about communication, culture, and history without ever making the player feel like they're being forced to learn something. It's educational in a way that's different from Clue Finders or Reader Rabbit was. I love that this is a game first and a source of education second. When Pink gets to India, he's on a mission to leave flowers at Indrani's grandfather's grave. Through exploring the area, he learns about Hindu traditions and that there are no Hindu graves and must instead throw the flowers in the holy Ganges River. This section really dives into cultural differences and traditions. It's also the only location to feature two songs, one explaining the caste system and one telling the story of the Taj Mahal. Again, there are some stereotypes that come into play with some of these characters, but overall, I think they tackle the subjects of religion and class separation really well for a children's game. Everything is explained in an easy to understand way, and again, doesn't feel like it's forcing you to learn something, but instead gives you interesting and funny conversations with characters that in turn teach you about Indian culture. Pink returns to Camp Chiliwawa, and this time Von Schmarty is acting weird. Von Schmarty refuses to help, so Pink Panther follows the crocodile footprints to the hangar, and after yet another plane hijacking, he jumps out of the plane and ends up in Australia. Now, the Australian chapter is probably the weakest part of the game in my opinion. There's not much to do here, and it has my least favorite song. Eventually, Kamoken's spirit appears as a crocodile, and Pink returns to camp to wrap up the mystery. So I'm not gonna lie, the conclusion of this game was utterly terrifying for me as a child. Pink shows up at Camp Chiliwawa to find it pretty much destroyed and robot children falling apart everywhere. It's still pretty freaky to see Young Lee's face just fall off.
Hi there, little fella.
Anyway, it's the point of the game where Pink saves the day by finding all the evidence to prove that the children were kidnapped and replaced with robots. They then sing a happy song about being trapped in a bubble and now they're free to go back to their friends and family. It's such a wholesome ending, and it still warms my heart to see all the kids singing and dancing and cheering at the end. I think one of the cool things about the ending that I've always loved is that the kids swap clothes as a symbol of acceptance of other cultures and ultimately working towards world peace, and it's such a heartwarming ending. So now we're at the part of the episode where I decide whether I, along with the rest of the Pink Panther Passport to Peril fans, are blinded by nostalgia. I promise you I reviewed this as unbiased by time and nostalgia as I possibly could, and I'm going to say that if you like this game, you're not blinded by nostalgia. It really does hold up. There's some really great lessons in here for children today. There's only one thing that I feel might not pass today's standards, and that is the stereotypes and maybe overdone accents over certain countries. But I think overall this game is educational and fun. It shows children a little bit of other cultures, even though it's not a deep dive into those cultures. It can spark an interest in learning more about Hinduism or Egyptian culture or learning Chinese. There's so many good lessons to take away from this game, not to mention all the jokes and laughs you're gonna have along the way. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit subscribe. I put out a new video every week, and you don't want to miss out on the rest of the Blinded by Nostalgia series. If you have a favorite movie, game, TV show, just entertainment from your childhood, let me know in the comments and I might do an episode on whether you are blinded by nostalgia or not. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, my lovely people, and I will see you next week.
Would you like a spot?
A spot and a half. I'm quite thirsty.
1 lump or 2, Lord Pinkington.
No lump is fine.
No lump? A piece of lemon, then. Or some milk.
I take my tea just plain brown, thanks.
Brown?
Your tea is brown, isn't it?
It's an Earl Grey today, your lordship.